Hello party people, have you played Baldur's Gate 3 so much you've absolutely nothing left to do and want more of the same or similar experience? A game in which something like this happens. A game in which you can get a hot succubus or spider mummy girlfriend. Or do you want to become worse than the main villain of the game? I might have something for you. Let's check if Pathfinder, The Wrath of the Righteous is worth a buy in 2025. Subscribe and like, comment your thoughts on the game and join my Discord or my goblins will cast manifold lives on you. No really, it's a real spell. Let me show you how fun spells in this game can be. Here we have Bone Shaker and this is the description of it. You take control of a target living creature's skeleton. A creature has its skeleton rattle within its flesh, causing grievous harm. The target takes 3d6 points of damage plus 1d6 additional points of damage per 2 caster levels. It does this. Level 2 spell, by the way. Right off the bat, you're met with a very in-depth character creator. You might get overwhelmed with the choice here. Altogether, we have 38 classes to choose from. But worry not, most of those are subtypes of an existing archetype and the game explains what each of them gains and loses. Let's take Sorcerer for example. I went with a Seeker Sorcerer, which means I lost my level 3 and 15 Bloodline perks, but I also gained bonus feats on 3 different levels, meaning the loss of perks didn't matter too much to me. Some of the classes are really cool. You have a Magus, which is basically a battle mage, and the Sword Saint subclass of it is insanely powerful. We also have an Inquisitor who judges their opponents, and that is absolutely amazing. Other than your class, which you'll spend a few hours choosing, you can choose your race and background, which also come with some nifty bonuses. Classes here are very close to D&D ones, which makes sense given how Pathfinder came to be, so if you're familiar with Dungeons and Dragons, you'll be okay. The only lackluster part of character creator is your appearance. Besides a few heads and hairstyles, there's really not much here, but you can choose and make your own portraits which show up in dialogue and character menu, so it's not too bad because you still do get to determine your looks. The game is isometric anyway, so your guy or gal won't be exactly in your face the whole time. As for difficulty, you may get a bit scared of all of the mechanics existing in the game, but the good news is you can set the difficulty according to your wishes and abilities. You can toggle a lot in difficulty settings, making it the easiest or the hardest game you ever played, but no matter your skill level or the power fantasy you want to experience, there's a setting for everything, so you don't have to worry about reading a guide as long as Lord of the Rings books or looking at a guide equally long. It does help to look up basic mechanics, if not for anything else, then for being able to play around with everything the game has to offer to your characters and party. Overall, the character creator and difficulty are both very well designed. A very, if not most important part of every RPG is of course leveling and sense of progression from practically a nobody to a godlike creature capable of feats no other mortal is capable of. Wrath of the Righteous does a very good job of making sure you feel your character becoming stronger, new spells and abilities help you in harder fights, and even the starting kit is still useful as you progress. There's a lot of build variety for every class and subtype, and while you can follow a guide online to min-max, I'd recommend going your own way and make a unique character. The game itself kind of helps you out, and you'll see green thumbs up or red thumbs down on feats and perks trying to help you out, but you can experiment here. And you should. But that's not all. After not so long, you'll come up upon mythic leveling, and here's where your character is elevated from a mere mortal to an almost deity-like level. Mythic levels are great, and there are many paths you can choose. Azata Mythic Path, for example, is all about solving problems with the power of friendship and song, and it comes with a companion in the form of a baby dragon who grows with your abilities. I've heard some complaints about the dragon being too childish, but that's kind of the point. The dragon you get is a child and acts accordingly, which leads to some hilarious moments. On the other side of the spectrum, we have a Lich Mythic Path, which sees you transform to a powerful Lich, of course, and this one has no friendship, just evil and undead companions. There's one path even more evil than the Lich, but I don't want to spoil anything, so you'll have to find out for yourself. There's much more here. The Trickster can actually persuade enemies to off themselves, avoiding combat entirely, and Eon Mythic Path is pretty much medieval Judge Dredd, and so on. Mythic Paths offer even more power, and it won't take long until you'll feel like you can take over the world with your party. Are they worth taking along though? Let's look at the characters and NPCs next. You are nothing with your party, of course, but let's be honest, if your party members are boring and bland, it can make the game a slog. I'm happy to say this isn't the case in Wrath of the Righteous, and most of the party members have good backstories, their own wishes and alignments, and even some twists in their stories. Most of the party members do come with their own personality, and they might leave you if they don't agree with the path you're taking. Their personal quests are mostly well designed, and you can really get a lot of insight of what they are and why they are. I say most characters because one of them gave me a migraine every time she spoke, and I tried to avoid interacting with her as much as possible. Her shtick of "I'm so distracted because science" got old really fast, and her personal quest is all about puzzles, which doesn't help. She does get a bit better as the game goes on, but to get to that point is a chore. We do have standout characters too. Amber is an elven witch who was burned at the stake and somehow survived, and is kind of naive and happy about it all the time despite it. Arua Chalet is the aforementioned succubus who you can guide to become an actual good person, and we also get a dude who can turn into a griffin if you have the DLC for him. Their stories are really good, and there's nuance to their quests, not just let's do the quest so I can get the XP. You'll get to care for your little band. Other NPCs are okay. They don't get as much care as your party members, but they still get a lot of it. They also seem like actual people instead of plot devices, and maybe you'll get to care for them too if you're not on an evil playthrough. But there is a glaring issue here, and that's the Queen character. While she is a good person, or at least tries to be, she's presented here as grossly incompetent. I won't spoil anything that happens, of course, but let's just say she can make you doubt wanting to help her because of her choices. Most of the characters are written well though. This all ties very well into the story, which might be a little cliche, but overall does a great job of keeping you interested. There are some moments in it which will make you gasp, and the intro is absolutely epic and makes you think, oh wow, this is going down, isn't it? The main villains are presented as both capable and terrifying, so you'll feel you're up against a real threat. I won't say anything else for fear of spoiling anything important, but again, you can become more evil than the main villain. Let's finish up with looking at the combat and army mechanics. You won't be the only one fighting. You get to command an army, and it moves on the overworld map with limited move points per day. You can recruit more powerful and numerous units, of course, and then send them into the battle against the demonic fortresses and armies on the map. They also get a general which level ups, and the combat is done in a very basic turn-based style. It isn't bad, but it can become a bit tiresome later on. Combat with your party has an active pause, and you can press space at any time to stop what's going on and give commands to everyone. It's very familiar if you ever played Baldur's Gate 1 or 2. It can be very challenging at higher difficulties, and you'll need to plan and execute according to the situation at hand. Combat is very satisfying, and it doesn't get boring at any time. It only gets better as you level up and get more abilities and spells. So do the enemies though, but after a while you really do become a powerhouse, and it shows in a lot of encounters, which is great, because if you became a mythic hero and some bandits are able to stop you, what's the point? Is the game worth buying though? Wrath of the Righteous is an old-school party-based RPG which aren't in a big supplies these days. That's because we are being lied to by some bigger studios that no one actually wants to play games like these. Even though when even a mediocre CRPG comes out, it still does well because people like to play single-player games which allow you to become a literal god at the end of it. No, we don't need microtransactions, what we need is a game with a good story and characters which offers more than the writers self-inserting themselves in every scene. And Wrath of the Righteous is such a game. It offers hundreds of hours of fun, multiple playthroughs and endings, a true evil experience and much more. I say a true evil experience because most of the games today have this sanitized writing not to offend anyone, and I think that's no fun. I want to be evil sometimes, let me be evil, please? Wrath of the Righteous got some justifiable flack when it came out because it was a pretty buggy experience, but now most of them seem fixed and I didn't have a quest which I wasn't able to finish because of the bugs, just because I forgot to do them in time. It's a rare game in today's ecosystem of extraction shooters and always online games, and if you like an epic story and your character becoming a god among men, this is the game for you. I recommend getting the edition with all DLCs, but even the base game offers a lot of hours. That's it for this video. Next time we look at a game which really should get a remaster or a sequel. It's a surprising one, so don't miss out on it. Comment your thoughts on Wrath of the Righteous. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!